Hey everyone, I'm Anastasia. This is Hump Day Happenings, and a very special segment of Hump Day Happenings. I've got a guest, Patti DiGangi, who has authored several dental codology books. And Patti, just hold that up for us. This book particularly is online only. It's an ebook. And the reason for that ebook is because, there's such a changing arena. And, these dentists actually right now, it has to do with Medicare. So Patti, welcome.
Thanks, Anastasia. I'm really excited. Thanks for letting me talk about this, because you may not know, but yesterday the deadline passed for dentists to file for Medicare. Yeah, well, that's the good news. That luckily dentists have another 6-7 months, because the deadline, the original deadline was June 1st, but it has been moved to January 1st. That gives them an opportunity to make some really important decisions about Medicare.
Well, how did dentists, leading on to that, you had shared 4 really strong points about Medicare. So how did dentists get on the Medicare radar to begin with?
Well, it's all part of the transition to electronic health records, which is what the whole dental codology series is about. It's not just about the codes like CDT codes. It's about the transition to when dentistry talks to medicine, that talks to pharmacy. And we all have these interoperable, it's the word, electronic records. Now, it doesn't mean everything goes into one place, but it means that they all talk to one another, like our cell phones talk to one another. You might have, I think you have an Apple on AT&T and I have a Samsung on Verizon. They talk to one another. That's what we're talking about with electronic health records. Now, a big part of that is a lot of the moves that the federal government has made to help facilitate that. One of the things that was huge, there's really 2 points that happened. One of them is a national provider number, NPI, national provider number. All dentists were in the last few years required to have that number. That's what put them on the radar of Medicare, so to speak. Then what happened, and this one I'm really excited about, in 2013, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid actually redefined what it is to be a physician. And the term now includes doctors of dental surgery and doctors of dental medicine.
That is big. That's very big.
Yeah, I mean, we even talked about this oral systemic, but now we have the federal government that is now recognizing dentists and dentistry as part of that model. So it's really important to understand the opportunity there is here for us.
Oh, that's huge. Now, you mentioned that the deadline for filing was yesterday. So how many practices, across the United States may have missed that?
Probably a lot, because it's like there's articles here and there, but it's really interesting. There's so many different ways of getting media. Oh, hello, we're doing a Google Hangout here. Even the odds of us both seeing the same TV show, or any 2 people seeing the same TV show anymore, are really, really low. And with Medicare and styling a Medicare status, each individual dentist must decide and file on their own.
Well, okay, now when you say file on your own, that leads us on, okay, we've missed the filing, obviously. We know that now they have to have an individual number. You mentioned something, when we were discussing this earlier about opt-in and opt-out. What is an opt-in and opt-out? And isn't it just better to kind of do the, do we really have to just kind of sweep it under the rug?
Yes, the fallback position that we find ourselves in often. Let's just do nothing and wait to see what catches up to us. So what we did is we took these terms of opt-in and opt-out, non-par and par. I'm like, are we talking golf, par and non-par? What are we talking about here? I didn't get any of it. And what we did is we broke it down into the different categories, and then we used puzzle pieces. A puzzle piece that says, what this means, what this is for you, what's the pros and cons of it, and what forms do you need if you want to choose that. Because see, there's no one right fit. There's multiple fits. But the analogy I've made is that, I've looked at that Medicare website, and it's like swimming in peanut butter. Oh my gosh.
That's a big point, because most of the time too, what you just shared as far as there's no one size does not fit all, it really reminds me of the fact of how many times have we all heard between the code of preventative prophylaxis, and then of course the 4910, which is perio maintenance. And then people still, it's been years and we still don't have that right. I can't imagine what that would be like for Medicare. So what can a dentist do if they're already registered? What can they do?
Well, again, some offices, because they've already been doing things like sleep apnea appliances, or they're doing CT scans, or some of these other things in dentistry, they may have already applied in the past. So they think, oh, okay, well, I don't have to worry about this newest thing. Well, that may or may not be true. It really depends on if they filed in the last 12 months, if they've gotten any payment. And just here's the reality of it. What we've done in our book, and that's part of the reason why it's an ebook, almost everything is linked to the exact spot that they need to go on the internet. For this example, if someone had registered before, we have a map. They click on their state in the map. That links them to their provider, and there's these zones and providers. They can click on there and then send an email to that individual, say, hey, check this for me. Am I still active or inactive? That's for the ones that have done it before. But those kind of interactive links is what we've done through the whole book. Because we also done this like here's 4 questions. And if you do this, click here. If you're this, click here. To try and simplify it. So like I said, swimming in peanut butter is not fun.
No, it can't be. I mean, you almost provided them with a GPS for Medicare within the codology system.
Exactly. Great way to say it, Anastasia. It's just because, like you said, the analogy to GPS is so important because it depends on where they want to go. Now, the other part, though, we do point out is the changing arena of dentistry. And so making their decision shouldn't be just based on where they've been in the past and even where they are now, but it's more about where they want to go in the future. Because one of the things about this is once you decide a status, like say opt out, that means you're not going to have anything to do with it. You don't, but you lock yourself out for 2 years. Now, opt out sounds like, okay, we'll do either do nothing or opt out. That's the second easiest thing. Well, opting out is better than doing nothing. See, doing nothing means that, say you have a patient, we all have baby boomer patients, but it's not just limited to baby boomers. Now, you could have a patient that is 20 years old, that they have kidney failure. Guess what? They can get a Medicare disability. So we can't just think age-based, okay? So we have probably many people that qualify for Medicare. They come in and they have an abscess, and the dentist writes the prescription. If the dentist has done nothing, it might mean that that person's prescription isn't going to get covered under their Medicare benefits. And that's where... Great point. Because, you obviously, with Hump Day Happenings, we have a blended audience. So it's not just our dental professionals, but maybe even learning that and going off of what you said and honing it to the other blended audience, being the consumer or a dental patient. What can they do if they, how do they know? Where does everybody come together in order to understand this more? Well, for the public, I know what's going to happen, particularly people that are on Medicare or approaching Medicare or have applied for Medicare. They're going to be calling their offices, the dental offices, and say, do you accept this? And this fallback answer so often in dentistry is, no, we don't do that. That might not be the most accurate answer, and it certainly is not a practice building answer, because that person, again, whether it's the 20-year-old or the 55-year-old or the 65-year-old, or whatever the person is, again, we can't just think age-based, that they may have to, even if they've been a patient record in your practice for a long time, they may have to seek care otherwise. And that's another thing we did in the book, Anastasia, that I think is really helpful. For each of the scenarios, for each of the decision paths that people can make, we actually wrote a scenario for a person to make it real. So
you could be recalculating, and you're still going to end up in the right place at the destination that you're supposed to be at.
Exactly, but it really makes it real that, it's Kelly who's 20 and it's Wu who's 74, and because it's so hard to understand, but when we put it down to exactly the most important part, and that is the patients that we serve, it can really help us get a better and clearer picture on what it is that these decisions and the ramifications of the decisions.
That's incredible. It's an incredible wealth of knowledge to only add to your series, which how many books have you authored now?
We have 4 books officially in the
And
series.
whether you opt in or opt out, the point is you really, dentists right now listening, you've got to make sure to go and double check what is your number, what are you going to do about it, and understand you've missed the filing date, so get on board. Patients or consumers listening to this, you really should look at what you qualify for and call to see, because like you shared, there are sometimes prescriptions and services that you are entitled to, and it's important that you find that right fit for you. Because please, please, please check this out online. Dental team members, dental members, whatever you can do to, make sure you are updated. You only have 6 months left, and the rest of the series of these books, they really, really do hone in order for us to take what we learn and make a difference with it. Patti, thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much, Anastasia.